The U.S. Air Force is carefully considering what plane is the best fit for its new Arsenal plane concept. The Arsenal plane, a large aircraft packed with semi-autonomous flying weapons, is designed to provide extra firepower for fighter jets that spot targets but don't have the weapons to take them out. The Air Force has a variety of airframes to choose from, but choosing the right one is harder than it sounds. The Arsenal plane concept goes back to the 1990s, when the U.S. Navy briefly considered an Arsenal ship. The Arsenal ship would have been a ship that looked like a supertanker, with a long flat deck covered with missile silos. The Arsenal ship would have acted as a floating magazine for the rest of the fleet, providing a reserve of literally hundreds of missiles that destroyers, cruisers, and task force commanders could call upon. The Arsenal plane is a very similar idea, using an airplane instead of a warship. Modern fifth-generation fighters like the F-22 Raptor and F-35 Lightning II are extremely stealthy and difficult to detect, but carry their weapons internally in order to preserve the jet's stealthy profile. An F-35, for example, can only carry 4 air-to-air missiles, whereas previous fighters could carry up to 8. The air-to-ground weapons loadout similarly takes a hit. Developed by the Department of Defense's Strategic Capabilities Office, the Arsenal plane would likely be a bomber, transport aircraft, or perhaps even a converted civilian aircraft stuffed with air-to-air or air-to-ground weapons. A bomber like the B-1B Lancer or B-52H Stratofortress is a good choice because it already has a large bomb bay, a long range, and in the case of the B-1B is somewhat stealthy. Both bombers have external weapons pylons for carrying even more weapons, especially air-to-air missiles. A C-17 Globemaster III heavy transport also has a large carrying capacity. A civilian aircraft, perhaps something like an A380, would be relatively cheap to fly. There's no perfect solution though. The B-1B is decades out of production and proving difficult to maintain. The B-52H is still needed as a vanilla bomber, and there are only about 75 planes left. C-17s would likely be needed in a major conflict as transports, and a civilian plane would need expensive modifications to become a military aircraft.
I'm gonna lower the boom here, cleared up interceptor low.
3-3 copies.
They're about 50 feet. Roger. Approaching 10 feet. About 5 feet, a little up and down. Stabilize. About 3 feet. Contact.
3-3 contact.
5-0's contact. We're gonna start coming left. Taker's coming left.
3-3.
There's about 50. Okay, cool.